definitely a benchmark, and it's been something that has been a goal for a long time. But the all-out shouting in the streets and such kind of takes me aback a little bit, to be quite honest.
Why'd you say that?
I feel like it's become such a symbol of something that may not actually exist or be backing it up. So I'm just hesitant before celebrating.
So you're worried that this may not be the end of the story?
Well, it's definitely not the end of the story. I guess it could be kind of like we've won the battle but not the war thing.
Why do you come down?
We were in our apartment watching the news, and we wanted to be a part of the celebration. So.
What does it mean? I mean, what does it mean to actually be here?
I feel like it probably gives a lot of people a sense of closure. I think it's a symbolic sense of closure for most people.
And when you talk about closure, do you really think this is the end?
I don't know what this means for Afghanistan. I don't know what this means politically. I'm not, versed in that, but I think it's a symbolic closure of one chapter.
So right now, it's a bit of a celebration for you.
It's a celebration. We don't have a royal wedding, but we have this right now, so.
Just some of the thoughts of those gathered outside the White House overnight. One of those left behind by the attacks on American soil in 2001. Tim Sumner lost a friend and his brother-in-law. He speaks for the group 9/11 Families for a Safe and Strong America.
I'm very happy to see that our nation has scored this victory. I'd say it's a victory for America and for all those engaged in this war, and it is a war. I'd say it's a major victory. On a personal level, I just woke my wife up just a moment ago to tell her, and this has been long coming. And people say you're exhilarated, someone's dead. He led the murder of 2,976 people, including my wife's brother. I would say that we are exhilarated. That would be a good word to use. It is a just ending to a massacre.
Tim Sumner from 9/11 Families for a Safe and Strong America. Our correspondent Barbara Plett is now at Ground Zero in New York. Barbara, who were those who came? How many are expected to come as the dawn breaks?
There were quite a lot of people who came initially, around 1,000 or so of people just spontaneously who came down to Ground Zero when they heard the news. I think now it's 5:30 in the morning here or so. It has dwindled considerably, and the people who are left are mostly youngsters, well, young people I should say, who are in quite a party mood. A very patriotic exuberance here, waving the flag, shouting USA, USA, breaking into God Bless America. Somebody's walking around with a sign saying, "We got him." So it's that kind of mood here at the moment. There is one other mood as well, though. There are a number of people sitting around on the pavement having lit candles in memory of the victims. So you do get a little bit of that, but mostly it's leaping about and shouting and being just very jubilant.
Describe how Ground Zero looks these days.
Ground Zero is a construction zone these days. The project to rebuild, to build something to replace what was lost is very much going ahead. You've got cranes in the midst of the buildings that surround what was just the empty space. And even the people who have gathered here are really on a side street. Cordoned off on a side street because the site itself is not accessible to the public. It's fenced off. It's really a construction zone.
Thanks, that's Barbara Plett at Ground Zero. World leaders have been giving their reactions to the news. The British Prime Minister David Cameron gave this statement.
Osama Bin Laden was responsible for the death of thousands of innocent men, women and children right across the world. People of every race and religion. He was also responsible for ordering the death of many, many British citizens, both here and in other parts of the world. I would like to congratulate the US forces who carried out this brave action. I'd like to thank President Obama for ordering this action. And I think it's a moment when, too, we should thank all of those who work day and night, often with no recognition, to keep us safe from the threat of terror. But above all today, we should think of the victims of the poisonous extremism that this man has been responsible for. Of course, nothing will bring back those loved ones that families have lost to terror. But at least they know the man who was responsible for these appalling acts is no more.
British Prime Minister David Cameron, and here's Australia's Prime Minister Julia Gillard.
I welcome the death of Osama Bin Laden. I welcome this news. And I thank President Obama and the US forces who have made this possible. And I also take this opportunity to thank Pakistan for working with them on ensuring that Osama Bin Laden was brought to justice in this way. Can I say too about the death of Osama Bin Laden that whilst Al-Qaeda has been hurt today, Al-Qaeda is not finished. Our war against terrorism must continue. We continue to be engaged in Afghanistan so that that country does not again become a haven for terrorists.
Australian Prime Minister Julia Gillard. Well, Afghan President Hamid Karzai said he hopes the world now believes that his country is no longer the place of terrorism. The German Chancellor Angela Merkel said the death is a major setback for the terror group, and she added the commando action against Osama bin Laden and his killing, the US military, has achieved a decisive strike against Al-Qaeda. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said Israel joins in the joy of the American people on this historic day in which Osama bin Laden was killed. That's reaction from different world leaders. Let's hear some more about some of the places where Osama bin Laden's influence had been felt. We can speak to Ayman Salama. He's a retired brigadier general in the Egyptian army.